Hello and welcome to Tête à Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. We're in New York City. Our guest is the president of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
You are currently also chairing ECOWAS, the West African Regional Bloc. But before we get to regional news, I want to begin with the United Nations. We've been hearing for years that Africa wants more of a say at the United Nations, but more generally in the global governance system. Do you think it's time now, finally, to put acts beyond the words?
I think Africa's representation in the UN and in other international organizations is overdue. At the formation of the United Nations, most of us were still colonial states, and we were not there to be represented. So 80 years on, we have to be represented. When you look at a population of 1.4 billion people, Africa is the only continent that is not represented on a permanent level. And this does not augur well for even the legitimacy of the United Nations. And the decisions that are taken are without our input. And 70% of the decisions of the issues before the Security Council are mostly about Africa. So if we claim to be a fair world, we should make sure that Africa is represented. So it's long overdue, Africa's permanent representation.
You want 2 seats for Africa in the future UN Security Council?
Yes, we want 2 permanent seats and 2 additional seats at the non-permanent level. This is what the Ezowini consensus, the common African position that was agreed over 20 years ago, actually. That is the common African position, and as coordinator of the C10, that is what I'm advocating for.
More generally, there are also international financial institutions, the International etc., etc. At a time when there's a huge funding gap, Western countries are cutting development aid. Do you also think that Africa should have more of a say in those institutions on key issues, for example, like debt cancellation and so on?
Sure. We have been excluded from most things, and the international financial institutions are no exception. Just like the Security Council, we are seeking for reform of the international financial institutions so they reflect the world in which we live today. Africa is burdened by debt, and we think that that is impacting negatively our economic progress. And without our presence, a lot of decisions are made about Africa's future without our input. And that is why we have not been able to make a lot of progress. We know our situation, and we have solutions that are quite practical to our situation. And we should have a voice.
But the Western countries don't want it, it seems. I mean, they say yes, in theory, but when it comes to giving you access to the IMF governance and so on, it seems...
Well, that is why we insist, and we will ask that if we live in a fair world, which is not the situation, we are pushing very hard, and we need one voice as Africans to be able to push them to accept this. That is why we keep knocking on the door, and we keep doing that until they understand the situation and they make the necessary reforms and adjustments that we accommodate Africa's interests.
I want to get to the regional situation. In June, you took over for a year, at least in theory, the chairmanship of ECOWAS, and you immediately said one of your top priorities is to bridge the gap between the bloc and the 3 countries that formally withdrew last January, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, countries where there have been coups. And a few days ago, you actually made history, if I may use the word, by paying a visit to Burkina Faso, meeting with the coup leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Does it mean that there is a possibility that those three countries could come back into the ECOWAS fold?
These are early days. I've just started engaging them. He's the first I've visited as chair of the Authority of Heads of State and Government. I was there last year, not on behalf of ECOWAS, but I think that we have to reinvigorate, we have to resuscitate ECOWAS. We have to give it a new lease of life. 50 years on, normally you have challenges. And I see this as one of those challenges, and we have to overcome that challenge. For a variety of reasons, the three countries have decided to stay out of ECOWAS. And as the new ECOWAS chair, it is my duty to understand why they took that decision and to engage them, to know what we can do, because the regional bloc 50 years on has done quite a lot, especially in terms of security, democracy. I won't say much in terms of economic integration, but these are all issues that we want to confront at the moment.
But that's a major change because previously ECOWAS slapped sanctions on them. There were even threats of military intervention. I vividly remember Niger. You're basically, by your actions and your words, you're saying this was the wrong approach because it led to them leaving the organization.
Well, I'm a new chair with a different mandate, and therefore I am using a totally new approach to the AES. I am engaging each and every one of them. I want to understand the circumstances that led to their decision, and I want them to understand the need for us to stay together, that there is unity, there is strength in unity, and to, even if they are not coming back to the ECOWAS, the AES can still have a relationship with ECOWAS in such a way that we will have a role to play in the security, because we are bound together by geography. We are West Africans, and whatever happens to them should be our concern. And I want us to play a major role in bringing security back, in making sure that the insecurity that they suffer at the moment is taken care of. But that means a very tight engagement with all of them.
What was the response from Captain Traore?
He's always been responsive. In fact,
he's also been critical of ECOWAS.
Yes, that was why they left. But now with the new approach, he was very happy that I went to him. He was very happy that the ECOWAS chief was there to understand their situation. I think we did not engage enough. They feel left out, and that was why they made the decision to go their way. I want to engage them from the point of view that we are bound together, and whatever concerns you, the insecurity, we should be able to solve that.
Does it mean that you are in touch with the leaders of Mali and Niger, and that you're going to visit them soon?
Sure. I have in fact made contacts with them. All of them. I've spoken to all of them, and the visit I made to Burkina Faso is just one, and I am going to visit Niger and also Mali. And we, at the end, I want us to sit together, the three AES countries and myself, ECOWAS, representing ECOWAS, so that we can have a thorough and deep discussion, frank discussion about what happened and what we can do. We must bring security back to West Africa if we are to do economic integration.
What about bringing democracy back? Because obviously, some will say you're granting them legitimacy. I mean, in Mali, there were recently reforms whereby the leader, Assimi Goïta, can be president for life. It seems that they have no intentions of leaving power. That's an issue that obviously you have to bring up with them, I assume.
Restoring constitutional order is a whole agenda of its own. But without this sort of engagement that I've initiated, we can't go on to talk about return to constitutional order. And with the level of insecurity that is present in these countries, I think we have to prioritize security and then maintain or intensify our economic integration programs with them, making sure that they are part of the ECOWAS, the sub-region economic community. And of course, we have to share the same values of democracy. But we can't do this if we do not engage them. They have to see or enjoy the benefits of the dividends of democracy. And this is why I insist on engaging to have first-hand information about what their fears and concerns are so that we can sit together and talk through these, and later on they will see the need for us to have the transitions that we so much require.
Just last question, Mr. President. Do you think that your experience, you were part of a coup, then there was a transition to democracy. You think that in a way they listen maybe to you more than to other more classical political figures?
Yes, as a young man, I was part of the military coup in 1992 that overthrew the authoritarian government. And sometimes it is not understood why these things happen, and I don't want to give justification for why the coups happened. But what we did was we drew up a transition plan, and my situation then is so similar to their situation now.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for answering our questions, and thank you all for watching this interview from New York City here on France 24.